So we on now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we here with a gentleman, a distinguished gentleman, and he's looking very good today. Um, maybe seeing that he has this voice, I will allow him to introduce himself. So maybe you need to introduce yourself and give us a little of your background before you come to Canada.
Yeah, my name is Sam Lewis. I'm from Trinidad. I arrived in Canada in the year 1969. Prior to that, in Trinidad, I was a police officer for approximately 10 years or so. During my stay in Trinidad, let me say that, like Ian Jones, I also lived in Woodbrook. I also was a Invaders fan. I never played the pan, but I was always in the yard because my brother played with Invaders, and so I followed him to the pan yard, but I never played.
Okay.
I was also inhabitant of the Woodbrook Youth Center. To those of you from that era in Trinidad would know that Woodbrook produced some of the finest sportsmen that came through Trinidad. I wasn't one of them.
Okay.
My thing was basketball. I played some basketball. I also represented the police force in basketball. Although, like I like to say of myself, I was always pretty but never good. So I was never.
So that means you were close to pretty good then.
I like that. No, I was never a top sportsman. I always lived in my brother's shadow and lived in the shadow of all my friends like Tony Ennis and in basketball, Tony Ennis, Ralph Gomes, all these guys who were the top basketballers, Hislop, they were the top basketball players. I was never to their standard, but I enjoyed the game.
Mm-hmm.
So soccer or football, as we used to call it then, I played a little in school. I was a supposed goalkeeper until I had some stitches on my lip from trying to dive at a ball.
And you dive on a boots instead of what?
Yes, a knee.
Yeah, okay.
A knee. So, you know, I liked sports and I was always at sports. I was one of the people who you would find in the front row, so to speak, at the Oval. Whenever there's athletics or football or any type of sports, you would find me there. So that was where I developed a love for sports. And but although not as a participant, I decided it may be better for me to simply go into administration of sports.
What you're administrating any sport before you came to Canada? Because
Not really. I didn't get too involved in Trinidad because, I mean, I supported teams like Maple, but I couldn't go into Maple as an administrator. I was in the Savannah.
Okay.
So I didn't do much sports administration in Trinidad. When I came to Canada,
You said you came in, what, 69?
69.
Okay. What did you do in coming off? How, well, you know, it's a cold place you were coming to, right?
Oh, yes.
And you were prepared?
Yes, quite prepared.
Was it for opportunities, job opportunity, or you just a new horizon?
Well, it was the fact that most of my friends by that time had either migrated to New York or to London, England, or to Toronto here. So I decided I didn't want to go to New York or any part of the US, and I didn't want to go to London, although my brother was in London. But I chose to come to Canada. And
that's London, England, right?
Pardon me?
London, England.
Yes, my brother was in London, England. But I chose to come to Toronto, where I met up with some of my friends. You would know Junior Parker.
Yes, yes.
Well, Junior's brother, Pancho, and I were very good friends. That's Kelvin Parker. He and I were very good friends. And some other guys who I was happy to meet up with. Mm-hmm. And he took me around and introduced me to quite a lot of people who became very good friends of mine.
So that if you hook up with Kelvin, which is Pancho, you were almost in the Ivy contingent already then?
Well, I used to go out with him to see the games. Yeah. And I knew of Ian Jones and all those guys from home, Miles Sosa. I knew about those guys from Trinidad, and I knew them, sending a wave to them and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But we weren't friends to say that we were bosom buddies or any such thing.
Whoa, Sam. So how you got into the tech? Because you're a stalwart name here. So how this thing evolved for you here now?
Well, I started hanging with some guys, and then we would end up on a Sunday
back up a little bit, Sam. Right.
We would end up on a Sunday morning football in one of the pitches, either in Flemington or in up Lawrence. So we would end up with these hanging out there and talking and laughing, and I got very close to those guys. And then
any one name in particular you remember who that crew was?
Oh yes, Mark Hopkinson, who is popularly known as Boy, Errol Alfred, and some of the guys who used to play in the industrial league here, and just hanging with them. I remember one night going on a bus ride to New York, because we used to go to New York every Labor Day weekend. They used to participate in a round robin tournament, and going down there one night, we were just joshing around, and one of them said, "Why you don't come and join the club? You're always with us. Why you don't come and join the club?" So I decided to join the club.
Which club was that?
That was Unity.
Okay. So the club was already functioning while you take that bus ride to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So on the way down, like I said, we were joshing, and I decided to join the club. And when I went to join the club, I don't know, probably somebody must have seen that I was stern. A lot of people think that I'm very stern, but I'm not really. but they probably thought I would have been a good man to come in and bring some order and discipline to the club. And that was how I started with Unity.
And what was the first position? What the first position official position they gave you in the club?
Well, believe it or not, this was crazy, because I don't understand how you could just bring somebody into the club and decide that is the person who would lead the club. Because immediately I got elected as the president of Unity, and that is where I stayed for the next few years.
Okay. So you got president of what year? You remember, correct?
Pardon me?
What year were you the first year of presidency?
I don't remember the years exactly, but it was sometime in the 1970s. I think it might have been around 1974, 73, 74, 75.
Is that the time you were on Church Street? Is that the time the club was, or you were somewhere before you got Church Street?
Yes, we were. Well, we used to meet in Flemington Park.
Right. Yes.
Encouraged, of course, by Dennis Devnish, we decided to get into the nightclub business, and following Irie too, because Irie boys used to hang out at Club Trinidad.
Correct.
And we decided, well, we'll just get a little place where we want to have our Friday night parties, because the place we used to rent to party was Hagerman's. Mm-hmm. If you remember.
Yeah. 14 Hagerman, yes.
Yeah, so we used to hang out at Hagerman's. That's where we used to have our parties, but we decided, instead of paying, let us have our own place. So that's how we happened to get Church Street.
Yeah, I was around then. I was your DJ at that time. I remember that. The leagues now. Were you in Unity when the club joined the Flemington League?
When they joined the TND?
No, the Flemington League. Well, you entered
Oh,
TND. I think that's the first place you were. I think Flemington was just because I had to canvass the club to come to the Flemington League. But I think
yeah.
you were already in TND and the
Yes, we were already in
contracts.
TND. But yes, I was in the club when we joined the Flemington League, and that was a wonderful time for Caribbean youths in Toronto.
So yeah,
Because
give me the full thing now. So yeah, because a lot will be based on the Flemington. What do you think of the Flemington? And the reason I did canvass your club because running the league at that time, I had Unity as one of the prestigious club, beyond the West Indies and Ivy. I think
uh,
I would have Unity as the third tier. And seeing that we had Ivy players in there already under players, and we just thought we should get because I think Alan was the coach at the time, and we started canvas certain guys. So I want to hear your version of Flemington.
well, yes, Alan was the coach at the time, and we saw that as an opportunity. The Sunday morning league as an opportunity for some of the young guys who couldn't make what we might call the first team
Mm-hmm.
to come out and enjoy themselves, and we brought in quite a lot of young guys into football, as a matter of fact, because there are some who never played football in their life, but they came out to
Mm-hmm.
run with us,
Mm-hmm.
and that was very enjoyable. And through that, we met so many young people from Brampton, from up north. When I say up north, I mean near north.
Mm-hmm.
We really met a lot of young men, and the club really flourished in those days.
So I know geographically, where would you say that Unity was from? I know a lot of the guys from here, from certain countries, they see each other appear from whatever. Um, where you had a universal, or you had a crew mostly from an area in a specific country?
Well, we had players from all over. It was almost like West Indies United.
Yeah,
We had players from quite a number of different places: St. Vincent, St. Lucia,
yeah,
Barbados,
that's right. Yeah.
well, of course, Trinidad, Jamaica. We had players from all over, and that kind of bond that grew out of that, up to today, it still exists, because whenever we meet each other, uh, Lawrence Glynn, you might have remembered Lawrence Glynn,
Yeah.
Lawrence
Oh,
from
oh,
St. Vincent.
you still in contact with Lawrence?
Yeah, I'm in contact with most of the guys.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Lawrence is from St. Vincent. Doc Millington and his brother, they're from St. Vincent. Um, Len Crooks was from Jamaica. We had guys from
Yeah,
all over.
I think that was the strong point of Unity. I think that was because you really couldn't identify it with one country.
Right.
You were the leader. No two ways about that. What you're attributing to your leadership qualities in terms of, is it consistency? Is it discipline? Is it responsibility? Is it
Well,
humility?
I do believe that anyone must have a certain amount of discipline if you want to succeed at anything. And while it is that some of the guys thought I was too serious in running the club, because some figured I just want to come here and have a good time, that sort of thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Um, I felt that having a good time is one thing, but if you want to succeed at what you're doing, the discipline must be there. And that is where I suppose, insisted that we do certain things in a particular way. And it worked for us. It worked for us. We were, I would say, the third best club in Canada from the Caribbean, because I would like to give pips to West Indies United and to Irie, because they really, really were good. I think that the difference is that Irie and West Indies United had more natural talent than Unity had. And I know some of the guys are not going to agree with that. but I think they played back in their home countries at a higher level than the group that formed Unity.
Mm-hmm.
So, we said, for what it's worth, we was prepared to settle for third, because we know that those two teams are really, really good. Of course, one year, I think we won the Contrast League.
Yes, you did. I was just going to remind you that. And King Circle Tripper was your goalkeeper. I remember you beat Real. There was a kind of spin-off West Indies team. I watched the game. You won the Contrast.
Yes.
We
won the Contrast 1 year.
Yeah. You had a very, very good game. So I was glad you brought it up yourself, because I was going to remind you when you were saying about the third team, because you won the Contrast.
Yeah. And then also in the T&D League, we won the second division 1A, and we were promoted to the Premier Division, and then we couldn't cope with what was happening up there.
Mm-hmm. In terms of finances or personnel? Or? Well,
remember that the Premier Division in T&D in those days had teams from Croatia, from Italy, from all over the world, and then all Caribbean teams. And we weren't, not that we weren't up to their standard physically, but I think they could have afforded more talent, because some of them used to be paying their players.
Yes.
So...
Yeah, that was yeah. And then you had traveling too, because I think you had Barry and a lot of these clubs too.
That's right. AS Barry and all these teams.
Yeah. So in the football, so you get the when did Unity cease to function? You recall?
Well, Unity, even now, and let me just go back a bit. Even now, Unity has not ceased to function, because they're still in touch with each other through another group, Antillians.
Okay, yes. Okay.
All right. But what we did in Unity also is that we introduced netball to the club.
Mm-hmm.
And in the netball sphere, if you know Jackie Jones, who's Ian Jones' sister,
yeah.
Jackie used to run Les Girls, that was a netball team, and we came out with a team with Unity coming out in a team in netball. And so the club at that point changed from football or soccer alone to netball and.
Yeah, I remember Unity had it going on. Unity had it going on. It was, the ticket was getting large, you encompass those. I was around when that was happening.
Yeah. And after, well, I got involved with Caribana. And in getting involved with Caribana,
before you make, I was waiting for that jump. With the Unity thing, the Caribana thing, did it come after Unity, or you encompass the two? And is that why the whole thing started to fizzle a bit?
Well, it came while I was with Unity. The Caribana thing came in while I was at Unity.
How you got into Caribana? Is that something, because thus far you only got merely watching ball in Savannah in Trinidad and stuff, and then you came up, and so where this new expertise, and I should forewarn the listeners that he ended up getting really big in this field. So it's important that I want to know where this passion came from. And
Well, if you remember, I said earlier that my brother played pan with Invaders.
right.
And although I was much younger than him, I used to go to the pan yard. And for Carnival, I would jump in the steel band because he's playing in the band and I would be in the band.
Pushing down
And
to, I hope.
yes,
All right.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
all of that. But I never played pan.
Okay.
Okay. But I remember one carnival, I must have been about 13, and I was living in St. James at the time, and Sun Valley Steel Band was coming down, and I decided to play man and wave flag for Sun Valley. At 13, somebody give me the flag. So I was waving this flag going down. And it so happened that my mother and my aunt were by Roxy Theatre. And it came this close to my mother coming and pulling me out of the band.
The full embarrassment. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I had that, and even as a cop, and I could say that now, even as a cop, sometimes I would go and play my Juve mass and thing. And I remember one day I played mass one morning, playing Juve. No, I was in uniform working, and Alvin Thomas, Duggar. Duggar passing down, and Duggar sees me in my uniform because I always like to look good in my uniform. And Duggar would come, and well, the next thing you know is that my uniform was a mess. Yeah. So, you know, the carnival thing was in me. It was in me. So when some people asked me to come and help out, come and volunteer with...
And some people as in who, I want to know who made this big move.
I can't even remember who it was now, but you know...
What position you held then?
Huh?
What position they gave you? Your first
No, I was just a volunteer. I was just a volunteer.
In Caribana?
Yeah. Marshal. That's how I started.
Oh, yeah, I remember when you were marshal, yes.
Yeah, I was a marshal in Caribana, and I went and
driving your little cart and stuff, right?
Yeah. And then how did I happen to get to be so more deeply involved was that I was called and asked to come in and join with Vivian Manswell and Felix Gulston to right the ship, if you get my drift.
Well, it needed plenty writing and over the period of time, so that's goes without saying.
Yeah. So the three of us went in there and we started, and then they had elections and they elected me as president, as chairman, because we didn't have a president but a chairman, and Vivian and some of us got together and we started working at it, and we worked pretty hard, although some people weren't quite happy because they said they used to describe Vivian, Felix and myself as the button-down boys, because I was working with the Ministry of the Attorney General, and Vivian is an accountant in where he was, and Felix is another fellow who was with, he was at ESSO, Imperial Oil. So I guess some people felt like we were, as they call us, the button-down boys, meaning simply that we used to go to work with.
Yeah, straight up tie and
yeah. And but we lasted for quite some time with Caribana, and I think we did fairly well, made it even more popular than it was at the time. And
you remember what was the year that you guys actually was in the official capacity as the button-down boys, as they call it?
That was around 1990, 91, somewhere around there.
And that committee, that was actually the committee running, or that was the committee overseeing putting things back into place?
Well, we were just members, and then when we took over, it was about 91, because the parade moved to Lakeshore during our time in office.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, the parade moved in 92, if I could remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all around that time.
That's from university, right?
Yeah, that's from university to Lakeshore. So it was all around that time that we were involved in it. And then I think my job got the better of me then. And I just concentrated on my job for a while. I went back in 2010 and worked with what they call the Toronto Caribbean Carnival group. And now I don't do anything again.
Was that time you were, what it was called when you were there with Vivian and the other gentleman, Caribana, right?
Caribana, the CCC.
When you went back 10 years later, the name was still Caribana?
For the first year, but then it was changed to Toronto Caribbean Carnival.
It was changed to, okay. So, and then you stayed there for how long? You turned to
4 years. 4 years.
It was the last year was when?
That would be about 2014, I think. So 2014.
It's very recent. Now, if I remember correctly, you migrate or you return home, whichever way you chose it. You went home for a little while, and were you involved in the carnival too?
Yes, yes. I became the parade manager for the NCBA. That's the National Carnival Bands Association.
How did that evolve? Did you apply from here before you went down? What year did you go down?
No.
What year did you go back down to Trinidad?
2000.
2000.
2000.
Okay.
And
so that you just fall back into that, or because you say you didn't pursue it, or
where back here, or
in the position in the carnival committee in Trinidad?
Yeah, well, I worked with them as the parade manager for quite some time, you know. Yeah.
How was that function? What was that? What was the description? What you had to do?
I was in charge of the parade, so I had to deal with the band leaders and also deal with the parade committee, the police and the different people who became involved or who were involved, you know.
In terms of route strategy, in terms of security, or the whole thing?
Everything, because I had to hire the security staff and the marshals and everybody else who were involved, and also had to be responsible to the police for whatever happened on the roads, you know.
So what gave you that expertise? Is it the exposure at Caribana or your job that you had with the city before you left? Which one, or both?
Well, think about it. When I joined the police service in Trinidad, I had to work the carnivals. So I got an understanding of how the things should run.
Mm-hmm.
Then when I came here and I got involved with Caribana, I had to do some planning again. And then when I went to Trinidad, I just had to try and put all together. And the fact that I understood the festival assisted me greatly.
Okay, and I'm talking about well, I know it's kind of dimensional here in Toronto because it was just university and then it ended up, and I know Trinidad Carnival, which is more north, right?
Right.
Right. I know it's multiple routes. So
different routes.
So that's what I'm saying. How you just use the blueprint of the security, what it entails and what is needed, right? And I guess
Yeah.
you sort of delegate the routes to other parties.
Yes, and I had, for instance, in setting up the routes, I had route people in charge of the different areas.
Yeah, that makes
You
sense.
know,
Yeah.
so I would give the instructions as to what I want done in these areas, and these people would carry it out. You know, I wouldn't have to do it myself,
No, no, you shouldn't
but
have to.
they would carry it out.
And I
And
guess
it was,
the only time you do a serious postmortem is when there's discrepancies or problems.
well, after every carnival, we would do a postmortem.
And what would be falling as problematic in your area? Is it both problems on the road in terms of violence or barn breaking route? And before you answer that also, when did it end with you? Because I understand now there's two different routes that's causing a problem. So what was your last year, and did you foresee that problem coming?
Yes, we saw it. We saw it. It ended with me. Ooh, I got ill around 2014, I think it was. And I spent about 2 months in hospital in Trinidad. And when I came out, I came out just about a carnival time. And I was as skinny as a rake, believe it or not.
Yeah, you look
And
good. You look good.
and after that, there was competition. As you know, in these things, there's always people competing against one another to do things. And there was competition with the NCBA and another organization that said they represented the band leaders. So I just thought that wasn't for me anymore. That wasn't for me anymore. So I stepped aside. But, you know, I must say that I enjoyed the time that I was there. And to this day, I've made some firm friends there. Although I say that up to now, here in Toronto and also in Trinidad, the band leaders are some of the nicest persons you would meet. But you see, Carnival Monday and Tuesday, and Caribana Saturday, be careful.
But it's not like long ago where that's when they collecting the man fee. Most of the money already in the thing was their problem. What is their problem at that time?
What is their problem at that time? The band fee don't matter then. What matters is how the mass looking. And you would
portraying and being in the space, and yeah, they have other things on their mind. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
So I still have some good relationships with some of the band leaders here and also in Trinidad. But I know that you have to give them a wide berth on Carnival Monday and Tuesday. Don't come too close.
So what's now for you, Sam? What's now for you? Just relaxing? What's the way dealing with the COVID? And but I must say again, Sam, you look good, man.
Listen, Olin. In case you don't know, I turned 81 in December. And I've had a full life, I think. So now I just relax and do as little as possible. I hope my wife not hearing me say that.
Yeah. No, it's working for you, man.
I do as little as possible. But we were, well, I as you may know, I spent the winter months in Trinidad, in Tobago actually, because I live in Tobago.
Yeah, I saw you on I think a flight or something one time. I think I saw you, and we did link up. somewhere. I think it's Trinidad or somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I live in Tobago, and I spend the winter months in Tobago, and I spend the summer months here. But last year we got stuck when COVID came about. So we just came back up around what 2.5 months ago or so. We just came back to Toronto because this is the first winter that I'm spending here in quite some time.
Yeah, I see you're getting a little sniffles. You gotta be careful.
Yeah, I'm all right. When
So
COVID
how
came,
are you enjoying your first winter in quite a while? We haven't had much snow, so
well, we don't go out much. The only thing we do, we go out to the grocery, we go to the doctor, we go for a walk around the area. That's the only thing we do.
yeah.
We are not going to. We are not about to go and mix up with any set of people. Like my wife said, when we were in Tobago, her motto was, "No visitors and no visiting."
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we had a nice little bubble that we had, and we kept it that way.
So once you're comfortable and yeah, you don't let any winter get to you because it's not like before you had to go and check the club.
No,
Go
no,
down by the
no,
club
no.
anymore. Gone are those days, eh? Gone are those
but
days.
I must admit, they were great days.
Yeah,
They were great days. I enjoyed them, and that is why up to now, like I said earlier, we still have a relationship. All the members of the club and I still have a relationship. I check them out. I mean, imagine one of the club members who came from West Indies United, as a matter of fact. I met him recently at my niece's place. His son is married to my niece, and that is Adaka.
Q.
Q. Yeah, Q.
I got a link with Q. Okay,
Huh?
I got a link with Q when we finish.
Yeah, yes. So, we enjoy each other's company, and that is what is important. Uh, During those days, well, I realize now that football isn't played with the same passion by all young people, and that is sad in a way because it was an outlet for us to meet together as family.
Mm-hmm.
And in those days when you just came from the Caribbean, every time you see another Caribbean person, a relationship is built.
Yeah, that's almost like what Jonesy said in truth. Yes,
Yeah.
I felt that when I came to because it wasn't about. Although I knew guys from Trinidad, anybody you meet on the subway because the two main friends I have, one was Jamaican, one was Guyanese.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
it's as soon as they come, that's how it is. It's friends, You're not
Yes.
picking and choosing because you're not getting much.
Right. Right.
You know.
But
So well,
anyway,
Sam, it was nice getting. I'm glad I get that Caribana slash because because I do the background of people now.
I think
But,
I
but,
think
but, but while we're on that good point, seeing that it's always sporadic once you use the Caribana term, although it's always fun memories. What do you think happened that created all, and I'm not talking financial here now because I really don't care about the finance. The same with the football and everything else. I'm not involved with the finance. But what it takes for this thing to go the way it did in terms of you know the unaccountability time after time after time, especially dealing with our people. We don't get much opportunities. So why is that always? I didn't hear that by you, and I mean you are an administrator.
let me say this. It's unfortunate that sometimes people bite off more than they can chew. Okay? And when I say that, what I mean is people see you doing something and they figure, oh, that's easy, man, I could do that. And when they get into it, they realize that it is not as simple as they thought it was. So things happen along the way, things that I was displeased about. But in order to let the thing go on, you don't have to say, well, look, I want to have nothing to do with it. I will still offer assistance. I'd still offer advice.
Exactly.
And that is one of the things that we don't do well as Caribbean people. You know, if somebody replaces you in a job, you kind of watch them cross-eye, as we say, and don't want to contribute because you probably feel that they will get all the praise or something of that nature.
That's one of it right there, you know.
You know.
That's on the head. It's very much on the head.
But I wish that all young people would, well, the young people weren't responsible for what happened before, but I wish that they would be thinking more inclusively, right? Rather than thinking selectively and say, well, this is me and this is my thing and I'm going to hold on to it here. People have to open up and work together. And if they can't do that, it falls apart. But let me say this with regard to Caribana. While I was the chairperson of Caribana, had it not been for the other people involved, people like Joan Pear, people like Bonnie Hector, people like Anne-Marie Placid, people like Nicole Waldron, and again, Vivian, Felix, who were my backbone, so to speak. Were it not for them, we could not have done the work that we did. You know, people fail to realize that it takes everyone contributing in order for something to succeed. And we had an excellent contribution from all of them at that time, and to them I'll always be thankful, because if it wasn't for them, I don't think people would have said, but Sam, you do a good job. Like I tell people, I am here. If you want to get some information, or if there's something I could help with, I will help. You know, I'm not going to refuse to help if there is something that I could contribute to it.
Good. So, well, Sam, again, thank you for giving me the time and the information. And I wish you all the best, and stay away from this fella at all, because you're 81 and this guy, you can't even flip the script to make yourself 18 to fight this guy.
I know.
This guy is 19. This guy is only 19, you know?
He had a fine man, you know.
I know you ain't going down, sir. I know.
I'm not going to look for him. He had to find me.
Yeah. So,
all right.
So thanks, man.
Okay, all right.
All right, take care.